Coming up on today's show, Joel Embiid drawing some MVP buzz with the way that he's been balling out over the last month and change. And last night in that win against the Rockets, he was certainly in his bag. Also, there's a belief among league executives that Ben Simmons is going to get traded prior to the February 10th NBA trade deadline. But first, we are a channel of the people and we are a channel of Philadelphia. And I want you to show me that you love the Philadelphia 76ers. So we're going to try something new. Send me a picture of you either at a Sixers game, rocking Sixers gear, somehow supporting this squad, at Chase_Senior on Twitter, at Chase_Senior on Instagram. DM it to me, and the first 5 people who send me a picture of you supporting this squad will get you featured on the show. And let's talk some Sixers basketball right now. Welcome into Philadelphia 76ers Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Senior. Happy New Year to the great city of Philadelphia and this entire fan base. If you went to the Mummers Parade on New Year's Day, hopefully you've been able to recover over the last couple of days. Joel Embiid, he was in his bag in that win against the Houston Rockets at the Wells Fargo Center on Monday night, but this has been the storyline with Joel Embiid the last month of the year. He is starting to pick up some MVP buzz because he has been playing lights out basketball as one of the most dominant forces in the NBA. And his hybrid blend in which he's playing with right now reminds me physically of Shaquille O'Neal in the early 2000s when nobody could stop him on the low block, but his athleticism reminds me a little bit right now with how he's moving of a Giannis or an Anthony Davis. Embiid has been in his bag, and his last 13 games specifically, he has been playing awesome team basketball and individual basketball, putting the squad on his back in a time where the Sixers have been dealing with a lot of difficult problems with COVID issues and injury issues. He's averaging more than 30 points per game. He's, of course, averaging a double-double as well with rebounds. He's shooting almost 53% from the floor and 40% from long range with a lot of volume there as well. And he's not just getting it done on the offensive end of the floor, folks. He has also been stellar on the defensive end of the floor, being really a cement pillar down low with his ability to cause turnovers in the steals department, but also he's been a great rim protector as well. 1.5 steals per game during that same time frame and more than a block per night as well. Against Daniel Tice, it was a mismatch all night. Joel Embiid able to exploit that mismatch, and really Daniel Tice didn't have a chance against JoJo, or as Kendrick Perkins said the other day, Joel Big Philly Embiid. I'm always here for new nicknames. There's also this, and this is my other takeaway with what Embiid has been doing on the floor. His passing continues to improve. So not only is he creating buckets for himself, he's playing really good in crunch time in the guts of the game, as Mark Zumoff used to say, but he's creating opportunities for his teammates as well. Prior to really the last couple of years, maybe the last year and a half, he'd get double teamed, and then he'd start to panic. He'd give the ball up, and that would lead to turnovers and buckets going the other way. But Embiid's passing game has improved greatly, and he's more in control when those double teams do flock him on either the low block or in the high post. Right now, Embiid is plus 4,000 to win NBA MVP. I think those odds are pretty good. If you want to put some cheddar down on Embiid to win NBA MVP, he's kind of in the mix right now with players like Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, DeMar DeRozan, LeBron James starting to become in that conversation as well. Whether he wins it or not, if Embiid plays like this, the Sixers have a chance in any series against any team in the Eastern Conference. I just want to see Daryl Morey pull the trigger on a Ben Simmons trade so that he can surround Joel Embiid with the necessary piece or pieces to really maximize his abilities. So, what do you think, Philly? I've kind of made my feelings be known on this. Has Embiid earned more MVP love? You let me know in the comments section and let your voices be heard. Type D for definitely. Type M for I think he has to do a little bit more. Make sure you get your votes in the comment section right now, because with the way that Embiid has been playing, Is it sustainable? I think it is, because he's giving us flashes of how he played last year as well. Next up on the show, there's really a wide-ranging belief among a lot of people in NBA circles that Ben Simmons is in fact going to get traded prior to that February 10th NBA trade deadline. And of course, here on Philadelphia 76ers Now, whether he gets traded, another player, or any move happens pertaining to this team, we have you covered here on the channel. Make sure you hit that red subscribe button down below to join the 76ers Now family, the fastest growing Sixers channel on YouTube. John Hollinger of The Athletic with a lot of reporting about when a trade could take place and some of the players who the Sixers are targeting. So let's break it all down for you. Hollinger on Simmons, quote, "The consensus opinion among the league remains that Philly is more likely to act at the deadline than carry this all the way through till next summer, so as to avoid punting on a year of Joel Embiid's prime. The counter-argument is that the Sixers, as presently constituted, have been unimpressive enough that it might not hurt much to wait to trade away Ben Simmons." Now, my thoughts on what Hollinger had to say there is I actually believe the 76ers are good enough to compete right now. They're going to be able to win a lot of games when 100% healthy. They haven't been as good as their capabilities up to this juncture of the season because they've been shorthanded for much of the season up to this point. So I think the Sixers are good enough to compete. They just need to be 100%. And I think furthermore, they could be a player in the Eastern Conference if they get an all-star level player back for Ben Simmons. More Hollinger on Simmons. He said this: "While the Sixers still hold out hope for Damian Lillard or Bradley Beal, those options remain unlikely. What are the realistic alternatives, though? The most prominent one is if Boston would consider shaking things up with a Simmons-Jaylen Brown deal. This would likely be a non-starter in Beantown were it not for the Celtics' bizarre torpor the past 2 seasons, and it's getting to the point of, quote, they might need to look at this and they might need to make a change." I think the Boston Celtics would be absolutely insane to trade away Jaylen Brown, an emerging offensive player, one of the best two-way players in the NBA, for a malcontent in Ben Simmons, who has somewhat of a limited ceiling up to this point and has become maddeningly frustrating to watch because of his lack of improving his offensive game to maximize his individual abilities and really just raise the ceiling of the Philadelphia 76ers. And for Jaylen Brown, he's everything that Ben Simmons is not. He gets in the lab to improve his offensive game. He puts in the work to work on his deficiencies. Ben Simmons does not. And that really came to fruition the other night when Jaylen Brown showed everybody across the league what he's capable of doing, and this was without Jason Tatum. And there's become a belief that a lot of people expect Jaylen Brown and JT to possibly be broken up because the on-court pairing hasn't resulted in wins. JB the other night against Orlando, 50 points, 11 rebounds, 19 of 29 from the field, 5 of 10 from deep. Could he be a player who could be better offensively without Jason Tatum if he has more opportunities to cause havoc on the offensive end of the floor? That's why there is a growing belief right now that that pairing could be broken up at some point. Do you think that Daryl Morey can get an all-star player back for Ben Simmons? That's really the continuing argument that we continue to have here on the channel. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Once again, we're all about the audience interaction here on Philadelphia 76ers Now, so get that comment section popping. Speaking of popping, hey, if you rock this 76ers Mitchell and Ness tank at the Jersey Shore, the OD, down in Wildwood, wherever this summer, when the temperature raises up, you'll be heating up in this 76ers tank top. It was $80. Now it's $56. Now, there was a great deal on this tank top last week for limited time only. So make sure that you plug in that link down below, chatsports.com/SixersTank, for this deal to apply, because this is available for limited time only. $24 off this Mitchell and Ness tank top, old school Sixers vibe. It is so fresh, and whether you're on the beach at the Jersey Shore, in Delaware at Dewey, because you got to shout out the Jersey Shore and the Delaware Shore, Maryland as well, you'll be looking fresh for the ladies if you rock this Sixers tank. That link will be available in the comments section as well as the description of this video. Let's continue to break down these Ben Simmons trade rumors and all of this conversation around Ben Simmons. Hollinger kind of throwing out more names that the Sixers could look to target as we get closer and closer to the NBA trade deadline. Let me throw another one out there. Hat tip to my colleague Seth Partnow for noting this possibility. What about Domantas Sabonis, Chris Duarte, who I really like, by the way, and TJ Warren to Philly for Simmons, Paul Reed, and Isaiah Joe? The salaries match, and there's a lot to like here for both teams. Sabonis is a weird fit alongside Joel Embiid, but can actually throw an entry pass, unlike most of the other Sixers. He also would let the Sixers thrive in the non-Embiid minutes where they currently get trucked and would provide a store of value for future deals in the offseason. Sabonis is only 25 years old. He's made 2 consecutive All-Star teams and is signed for 2 more years at a very reasonable $20 million per year pop. He can be the nucleus of a deal for a bold-faced name if and when one comes available. So I think this is pretty interesting for a couple of reasons, because say the Sixers make this deal, right? And they want to see how this trade kind of comes to fruition and works out this year. If it works, great. You got some upside players. If not, you use those players as trade chips moving into the future. Now, I like Sabonis a lot. He can really do a lot of things. I like Chris Duarte as a modern-day 3-and-D. He is a rookie, but he can certainly play. Went to Oregon. Really liked him coming out of college when I was doing my draft prep. There's also this, too. Could the Sixers elect to trade for a player like Collin Sexton by dealing away Ben Simmons? That's also a possibility. I don't like that on that front, because Collin Sexton is believed to be out for the rest of the year. And if you're trading away Ben Simmons, you're trying to get an impact player this year to maximize the potential of this year's squad in Philadelphia. De'Aaron Fox for Ben Simmons. Now, the Sacramento Kings up to this point have not shown a willingness to trade away Fox. Could that change in the weeks leading up to the NBA trade deadline? Could they get desperate, and could they look at Ben Simmons as an all-around player who has a bunch of elite skills and elect to trade away De'Aaron Fox for Ben Simmons? Now, could he clash in an on-court stylistic fit with Tyrese Maxey? Yes. Do I think that Tyrese Maxey can be a better player down the road than De'Aaron Fox? Yes. So I don't know if these latter deals are going to move the needle much for me. Unfortunately, though, because Daryl Morey has held out on trading away Ben Simmons, you can't get the Darius Garlands of the world or the DeJounte Murrays. That's why we're looking at some of these secondary and middle tier type of players. Once again, I want to remind you, we are a channel of the people and a channel of Philadelphia, and I want to get some of your faces here on the show. So show me that you love the Philadelphia 76ers. Tweet or Instagram DM me a picture of you rocking some Sixers gear or you at a Sixers game at Chase_Senior. It's the same handle for both, and thanks for watching today's show.